Hi there. I just saw an advertisement and I was intrigued by it because it was talking about the disparity of wealth between Papua New Guinea and Australia. Well, that was the introduction, anyways. The 2.5 miles between the two countries, and yet the fact that Australians have a GDP that's 20 times or so that of those in Papua New Guinea. Now, there are a lot of ads on YouTube that I either report because they're scams or I block because they're annoying, like Dr. Gundry's pseudo knowledgeable information about nutrition and diet, and several others were like um, the companies that want you to buy their prepared meals because you have a busy life and you don't have time to cook a proper meal. Yet you can. You can actually, in half an hour, my son can whip up a healthful meal. It's not hard. So Factor and all these other companies, I block their messages, especially the ones that I've seen again and again and again. Despite the fact that the people that they show on there are good looking, sexy, whatnot, I'm just not interested, because they're just using people who looked good to make more people say, "Ooh, I can look like that if I eat Factor." No, you're not going to look like that by eating Factor. You're going to look like that by having a proper diet, getting exercise, and stopping with all the stuff that's destroying your health and making you fat and ugly. Anyways, so this advertisement was listed as Kite and Key. It's emblazoned across the top right corner. Or I don't know, maybe it's not Kite and Key. Yes, it is. It's Kite and Key. So it goes on to talk about the GDP, comparing one country to another by taking that GDP and then dividing it, I assume, by the number of residents or the number of residents of working age, which, okay. Um, and it goes on to show that the countries with the most freedom have the best wealth. Um, and it was all very, very interesting. But I was waiting for them to get into some numbers that actually show wealth by the individual because they were talking about individual GDP. That's not wealth. It's not even a real number because there is no. All right. If you have 100 people and the poorest person earns $1 a day and the richest person earns $100 a day, where's the average? There is no real average. Even if we make it so that the people in the middle earn $2 and then the people up at the top earn $100 or whatever, there's still no real average. Average is a relatively meaningless number that we often use because it simplifies things to make it easier for us to understand a wide array of numbers that otherwise may not show us any patterns. So I watched the entire ad because basically what some of these YouTubers do is they will pay to promote their video so that people come to their channel. So I went to I clicked on the link. It's got that little like circular rectangle kind of thing, and it shows you like a name, and then there's a subscribe button next to it. I didn't want to subscribe because I didn't know anything about this channel other than a short video that was distorting facts by presenting GDP as actual wealth when it's not. It's gross domestic product of a country. You can't use that to measure wealth. It's not the same thing. It doesn't show how much was produced by an individual that resulted in them earning money as a business person. It doesn't show anything that is of any real value except for on the national level. Now, so I came there and I saw, it's a 7 minute and 26 second video. So that sounded about right because I watched the whole thing from start to finish. And, it's a well done video. Don't get me wrong. It has relevant graphics throughout, not a bunch of garbage like some channels do where they just fill up the space when they can't find relevant pictures with whatever, which I absolutely despise, which is one of the reasons why I never do anything with my videos because I don't have the time to find the pictures that look right and stuff like that. and I don't have the money to invest in AI so that I can get really great videos made with the help of AI. So I went there and I posted a comment. And by the way, it is www.youtube.com/watch V as in Victor equals X capital L capital K 7 B as in boy C as in cat J is in Juniper 1 big O big Z small c. All right. That is the link to the video that I saw. The advertisement was really a video. And so I wrote this comment on there, and I'm going to read it to you now. And I'm sharing this because I want you to understand how some YouTube channels, some whatevers, it doesn't even have to be YouTube, it doesn't even have to be videos, it can be anything. Some people use facts in a misleading way to distort our understanding of the subject that they're talking about. And this is my comment is not all encompassing. It doesn't address all the points. It just kind of goes over some things very briefly. But I want you to think about it because it's important. We as Americans or as earthlings need to be able to think critically, to criticize what we're seeing instead of just accepting it as fact because it's well made or because it's they put together the words in the right way. We are so vulnerable to con artists, to politicians, to lawyers and things like that, that not being able to think critically, to analyze and to pick things apart, to notice there's false logic is dangerously bad for us because the rich people will use that to their advantage. Now, I'm not saying all rich people. I'm saying the rich people who want more and more and more and more and are never going to be satisfied. They'll be happy to take over the entire country so they can acquire even more wealth while the rest of us suffer even more. So here we go. I saw this as an ad. I was curious to see what you'd reveal. Now I have a question. You talk about the wealth disparity on a global scale, but you don't really address the internal disparity, nor do you clarify how wealth is being measured overall. Is it only GDP? That's not really a useful measurement of individual wealth since it applies to nations. So I presume you're dividing the total GDP by the population, probably of only working age citizens, which varies from country to country, and some countries have large numbers of children who work, or large numbers of people who work to keep their family alive in a way that isn't trackable by GDP. You're not looking at income, it seems, gross or net, nor are you even looking at cost of living, which I abbreviated as COL. Apparently, what benefits the government gives the citizens or any number of other relevant contributions and deductions from individual wealth. These are valid measurements, but you assiduously avoid them. You're painting a false picture of individual wealth to support your thesis that freedom and wealth are directly connected. But why, when an average doesn't show us anything real? It's easy to find an average, but the number of people who are actually at or near that number can be skewed by the actual numbers that were used to reach the average. You don't show the mean either, which would help with the average. To provide a tiny bit of context, again, why? Why are you shying away from the fact that the majority of the wealth in most countries is controlled by a tiny fraction of the population, and the disparity is so large that it's not obscene? It's so far beyond obscene that I can't think of a term for it other than obviously immoral and criminal, no matter what the laws say. I challenge you to make a meaningful, insightful, and incisive video that properly looks at these things instead of the fluff piece you made that clearly has a specific agenda behind it. Are you brave enough? You can respond and make a video, or ignore me, or delete my message. Whatever you do, I'll have an answer. So that was my message. I encourage you to take a look at that video. I will put a link to it in the description, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Did I miss something? Did I make any mistakes? Probably. But if we can engage in a conversation about this video and how it could be better and how it could actually be useful instead of being an agenda piece, I would love to do that with you. So please put some comments. Keep in mind, I only allow civil comments. If you're going to be rude I will be giving you one warning, and then I'll kick you off. So, yeah, keep it civil, keep it smart. I don't want to see any attacks. I don't want to see any rudeness. Be respectful, because we cannot function as a society if we're always attacking each other for differences of opinions, which is what politicians do. Why do they do that? Because it polarizes voters. Following the example of politicians and how they debate is not a good way to run a society. It is not a good way to live your life. So make sure to contribute in a positive and helpful way instead of, oh, you're an idiot, because that doesn't help anybody, not even you. Thank you for watching and have a great day.